Yo, 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 what's up? What's up? What's up? Coming to you live from Titletown, USA, Philadelphia. It is another edition of the Crossover Sports Podcast. Yes, indeed. Fresh off another title win for the city of Philadelphia, and the greater Philadelphia Burbs. With a Villanova win. We're just Titletown, USA, and it's just confirmed now. But I'm rocking out right now with Matt. So Matt, go ahead and reintroduce yourself. Go ahead, Matt.
I am Matthew Mack. I am that small red horn on Twitter. I am that man that's gonna come here and do what it do. So yes, I am not in Titletown, Pennsylvania. No, I'm in. I almost got hit with a tornado in Louisiana. So let's blow through these topics and make sure that my blood pressure stays in check.
All right, guys. All right. As we always start this joint, you guys know that we have some divas in the group. So Amina, Andre, and Trey should be in shortly. But until then, we're gonna rock out with the terrible twosome, myself and Matt, or the controversial twosome, as they would probably call us if everybody else was here. At Kyler W. Watson on Twitter. Uh Matt just gave you at Small Red Horn, at the crossover PO1 on Twitter as well to follow the podcast itself. So as we always start this thing off, we're gonna start off with our crossover hot takes. We are gonna start and we're gonna get Matt and my blood pressure boiling already. Let's get it going. So the first question, for those of you that don't know, because I always do this little disclaimer, our crossover hot takes is where we dip in, lean in into other interests where it's local, political, entertainment topics. Right now, I think everything is on sports, but it's more cultural stuff. So I hope y'all ready. The questions are hot and the takes are hotter, and this is how we start this show off. So Matt, the first question to get your blood boiling: Is the NFL running? What's up, Dre? Is the NFL running a risk of losing its talent base in minority communities by continuing to handle protests poorly? Go ahead, Matt.
Um, I am not gonna say they're gonna lose talent. I don't believe they will lose talent at all. Because the passion to play in the NFL is there. However, you have to take into account that you have people who do dream to play in the NFL at an early age, and to say, oh, hold on for once. No, let me back up. But it takes a lot to say no to a passion that you've been wanting to do for a long time. And it takes a lot of guts to say no. Now, I'm protest out as far as the NFL is concerned because of how they have handled it. The NFL is, as we've noticed, the way the owners, all up to the commissioner is leaning towards on the conservative side, and we have talked about this on various occasions where you have a handful of owners who has supported and even donated money to campaign funds of 45 the 45 variety. But as far as talent wise, I don't think there will be a minority talent will drop, so to speak. But instead, and you have to think about this too. It is a platform not everyone has. Excuse me. It's not a platform, and you have to have enough cojones to say what you got to say and believe in it, no matter what. That's what. At the end of the day, is everybody football. I have to admit, football is now the American past. It's the national pastime. It's the American pastime. It has surpassed baseball. It is what it is. But there will, I don't think there'll be a talent drop off as far as the protest is concerned and everything else. In order for that to happen, you gotta be like superly uh, conscious about everything. And there's more stuff going on in this country than just sports, honestly. Let's call it for what it is. Anyone else, gentlemen?
What's up? Go ahead, Andre. I'm sorry.
Um, NFL is definitely losing its talent base in minority communities by not handling the protests in a better way. They seem like they don't care, and ultimately that's what you're going to have to come to. They don't care because if you cared enough, you would make some change. But if you don't care enough, or if you're more worried about protecting your brand and your model, and we keep talking about this, and I'm tired of talking about this. I mean, it's gonna really drive me to the point where I don't want to watch it anymore. And I love it. And I bought so much gear, and I'm all in, and my team has finally won the Super Bowl. But it's like, man, it's bigger than that, man. At the end of the day, it's still sport. It's still entertainment. It's not the only form of entertainment you can get in America or in the world. Period. There's so many other things I could do, but for them to just keep, these young black men employed and not fight for their causes, it's essential. It's the same thing as when a company doesn't have benefits. Like, how much do you really care about your employees if you don't have benefits? Like, could you say you care about their physical well-being? You couldn't. You say all you worried about is your bottom line. How much money are you going to produce for me? So you worry about your fixed costs, you worry about your profits. But God forbid anything mess with those. Now we can't operate in that realm because that's taken away from us. Which in result is taken away from it already because you've already lost viewership, you've already lost fans, so it's detrimental to you for you not to speak up.
So I think that I agree with Andre. Something that rarely happens on this podcast. They are at risk of losing the talent base just because of a lot of people, and Dre pointed this out. A lot of people see what the NFL league has effectively done to Colin Kaepernick and now Eric Reed. I know Colin Kaepernick, that's a controversial name depending on your political affiliation. But one thing to say is this, man. A lot of people, one of the things that we as a people, as Americans, all agree upon is that, you should be able to work and people should have a second chance. Now, obviously, you can't say what you want at work, but this man is having his livelihood affected effectively because he decided to take a knee, and protest. Some people would believe at the wrong time. Now, most people don't understand what a protest is supposed to do. A protest is supposed to be inconvenient and it's supposed to gain as much attention as it can. You know, that's why Martin Luther King chose to protest in Birmingham because he knew Bull Connor would have a bad reaction to it and it would get the most attention because he knew Bull Connor was a noted racist. And it wasn't for the fact that Bull Connor was a violent and noted racist, we wouldn't have the pictures of protesters, of civil rights protesters getting bit by dogs, getting sprayed by firemen with the water hoses and stuff, and everything else. Listen, protesting controversy and stupid people. And in this case, we have all the makings of a good protest in the NFL because we have mostly conservative white owners, a black man taking a stand, and we have the NFL's just inability to handle this correctly. And effectively, I don't think when you look at what they're doing to Colin Kaepernick and more recently what they're doing to Eric Reed, the fact that he's one of the top 2, top 3 safeties in the league and he's not on the team yet, more people are going to see that and see the fact that the Bulls been effectively blackballed. And it's crazy how the Bulls effectively blackballed. And, he's been effectively blackballed. And he can't make no money. And the one thing that everybody respects is a man that needs to make money. As a man, you gotta make money, you gotta provide. And the NFL is taking that away from him. And it's crazy that can happen. And I think the NFL, the more it blackballs people for protesting or not giving people fair opportunities, it's going to lose audience. I mean, who wants, as Matt just said, you have this platform. Who wants to look at a platform like that can effectively be taken away because we have owners that don't agree with stances, as if the players agree with the fact that the owners are giving money to a controversial president. I mean, let's be real. There's so much hypocrisy in the NFL. It's amazing that anybody can consider that America's pastime with how conservative and aggressive that sport is culturally, and they are going to lose a lot of people the more they keep doing this. If they don't change and they don't understand how to make this stance and make a stand correctly and effectively handle it correctly, they're going to lose people. All right, so moving right along. Another one. All right, guys, as men, we don't have kids yet, but the second question going to hit close to home for all of us. Should communities of color stop letting their sons play football to make a point to the NFL? Go ahead, Matt.
No. Look, what point are you making by taking your kid out to play football? Taking your kid out not to play football. What's the point? I mean, let's think this through. See, Colin, these questions. I tell you, you gotta look over these questions again because I think you be dropping the fan a little bit. But that's just my opinion off of that one. Look, we as adults know that the game of football carries a lot of risk. And as a coach, I cannot say yes or no to playing football. But it was up to me to say, look, I don't want my kids to play football until they get to high school. That's just my feeling on it because there's a lot of bumping around. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, and it's true. And on top of that, you want to know, as a parent, that the coaches and support personnel that are around that sport program knows the proper techniques of playing the game properly. And base football is a sport where you don't do one thing wrong, that's you in the hospital. Again, I really do feel as though that it's a game that should be played only for high school. If I had kids, If I had kids, I would want them to play in high school. You were seeing a lot we're seeing a lot of parents who's acting the same sentiment. But you have to remember this: you want your children to be part of some type of physical activity, whether it be basketball, soccer, hockey, baseball, whatever the case may be. You want them to be active in something physically. Because if you think about it, sports it's not just a physical aspect, there's a social aspect to it. There's a lot of critical thinking, there's a lot of things that are going on that is good for development. So I would say to it, look, you're not doing football any favors. In fact, this is not the first time football's been under attack. You have to go back to the early 1900s before the days in the NFL where college football was truly king, and then football then was a lot more brutal to where as though people died on the field. We're talking there was no protection then, really. I mean, you had a little of a flap jacket, which really wasn't a flap jacket. It was they called it a shock absorber, which really wasn't a shock absorber. It was basically an extra jacket. Really, it's called for it's like an extra bubble jacket. The only difference is it was made out of leather, and that was your quote unquote shock absorber. And many people died on the field because of leather helmets and lack of protection. Now we have all this protection. Now we have all these padding, and now it's like, you know what? And we also emphasize speed, strength, and agility. You know, we've seen a lot of more collisions. We've seen a lot more, you know, hits to where so it's like you're getting. It's like a train or a car coming at you, and you're getting hit by said car or train every time, every play. So I'm not going to say, I won't say, you know, you should not let your kids play football just to make a point. And that's on the spite side of things. However, if you really want to protect the integrity of the game that is football, I mean, my thing is this. Coach all the way down to coaching. Coaches have to learn how to teach the game properly and to teach proper technique. That's where I stand on that.
Respectfully disagree with Matt. I don't know what the crap he's talking about. The biggest power you can have from anything is to take yourself out of the situation, to show people how important I am to this. I don't care if you made a league full of white boys. Nobody's like it's going to lose a lot of viewership right away. Be as active or as out. You know how many heads will roll, and you know what? Not even just take your children out of the league. Start your own league with just black players, and take all those dominant black players from the OBJs to the Cam Newtons. You take all them players, take all the great players that's in the NFL right now, and put them in another league, and start producing that way. Then we're going to see much better numbers. You're going to see more inclusive. They'll get players from other countries and players who aren't in the NFL currently from college. It's going to be a better. It's going to be a better league talent wise. I'm not saying that some of the because Peyton Manning is great, Aaron Rodgers is great, Drew Brees, Gronk. There's white players that are great, but we all know the NFL is a predominantly black league. The NBA is a predominantly black league. Now, when it goes down to baseball, but even baseball is starting to become predominantly, a color league because there are a lot more Spanish people to baseball. It's that it's money and like baseball is like the number one sport. Baseball is the oldest sport, and don't care about our issues. We don't care about your game. Period. So them taking their sons out of the NFL and not send them to the NFL and just starting our own league. Oh man, it would be powerful, man. It'd be something like you've never seen. I think a lot of players would never go back. Some may go back, but if we did it right, and we were organized and focused and we stayed hardworking and on task, there'd be no reason to ever go back to the NFL team. Period.
That may laugh at the absurdity of some of these questions, but the questions are from my mind because these questions are not biased in any way. They're ideas that come from my head and that I want to get people's opinions on. And these are the questions. This is why this podcast is unique because I ask the questions most people ain't asking. So I feel that even though it's kind of absurd to say, all right, y'all, we're gonna have a football ban in the black community. I think that just for the sheer number, we already know because we've read this study on this podcast before, and involvement in football is going down. It's been going down for the last 5 years, ever since the discovery of CTE. And that involvement, a lot of it, isn't just coming from the white people out in the suburbs. It's mostly coming, and the reason why the NFL is so concerned about it is because black people, black boys, have stopped playing football and are moving on to specifically basketball and track. Um, and you know, I feel like football is going to die anyway. And when it dies, it'll be a combination of what's going on now. The fact that, the NFL, because of how conservative the executives, the people that don't play on the field are killing football. I also feel that this is backed up by facts too. The CTE is going to kill football, but it's going to be a combination of that and the way that they're not able to handle any politics in football is going to kill football. And so, do I think people should stop? I'm like that. I don't want to stop people from following their dreams. But as we've all pointed out, football is a dangerous sport. It's a sport that most of us would not let our kids play until high school or college. And it's that right there is a number one reason why, for real, if it's that dangerous, and we know it's that dangerous, we know what it does to your head and what it does to your brain. Why, it has no right, it has no reason for real to be as dominant of a sport as it is, because we all know that football has a regressive culture outside of football. And the only reason a lot of people really like it is because it's one of the few sports that's based on war. It was created at West Point. Matt's gotten into the history. It's a war game. That's what football is. Football is a war game. And we're a warring society, so we like that. But um but we have that. And culturally, I feel like football, just like college football, like we talked about last week, has been built off of the backs of, especially over the last few years, African Americans. And I feel like the terrible way that they've treated black players, not just because of what they did to Colin Kaepernick, but what they've done in the past because of the concussions and CTE. And rightfully so, it's affected everybody, but the majority of the NFL is African Americans, so it's disproportionately affected us. So because of that, I feel like you should really think about mom, dad, grandpa, whatever, letting your kids play football. Does that necessarily mean, like I said, that we need to hold off and tell everybody I'd rather you play basketball and run track or play baseball or hockey before you play football? And just because of what's going on in football culturally? No, I don't believe that. But I do believe that everybody should rethink playing football, especially now that we know what it does to your brain and how they treat people who want to use their platform for something else. Even though, the NFL's unofficial slogan is use your platform not on company time. That's the unofficial slogan of the NFL. So moving right along, I know this one's going to make Matt upset too. But Matt, this one's not my fault. This one comes from ESPN. So Matt, we all know that. I think you're like I don't know how many people like Brett Brown. Does Jay Wright need to leave Villanova and come home to the 76ers?
Hell no. No, 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 hell no, 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 bleep, no, 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 no. In short, because J Ray has a program. That program is built to sustain its chemistry. It is not built for one and doneers. Villanova is not a one and done school. None of the Big Five schools are one and done schools. For those of you that don't know what a Big Five school is, it consists of Penn, LaSalle, St. Joe's, Temple, and Villanova. No, 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 no. It is that the way you get that program built. It is perfect. It is a program where it's supposed to be. Okay, you are planning to stay for at least 2-3 years, not for one and doneers. So look, he could be a great coach in the NBA, but Jay Wright is what college basketball needs right now. So the answer is no, 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 no.
Right?
Man, you don't shut up. Getting on my nerves is the no, 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 no. Oh, shoot. I didn't drop some messing with me. I just leave you alone. God don't like ugly. All right. Jay Wright. Does he need to leave to go to Sixers? Yes. And here's why. Brett Brown does not know how to close out games. Like, he gets on my last nerves losing these darn games. And, like, they almost lost last night. If it wasn't for LeBron missing those free throws, like, they really won by chance. They didn't really win by scheme or, execution on the
Yeah, he got that voice.
the what's the thing? I don't know. He's just he's not the coach who's gonna take it to the next level. Period.
That's yours. You always come in and taking stuff that ain't yours. Give it.
This thing with me, you don't got no car. You don't need it.
And you don't have a car. Give it to me. You play too much.
You don't got no car. You don't need it. You don't drive.
Sorry, y'all caught me in the middle of a brother of a sibling arguing. Give me my phone. Stop playing.
It's called Scepter Walk.
You said?
Anyway.
It's called what?
It's called Scepter Walk.
You're in New Orleans. What's the bus called there? Shush.
Anyway.
I drive.
Anyway. Sorry, y'all. All right, moving right along to one I know Matt's probably dying to talk about. What's wrong with Conor McGregor? Go ahead, Matt.
I'm not down to talk about that nonsense. It's the U.S. Look, first of all, I ain't dying to talk about Conor McGregor. I ain't dying to talk about the UFC, to be honest with you. Look, the UFC, to me, has become it's a problem. Outside the ring, it's a problem. I mean, all y'all done. Oh, look, it's Trey. All y'all did, all UFC has done, is literally take the boxing element of the before the fight thing and just brought it over to the UFC. Now, to me, the whole thing's ridiculous. The whole thing is stupid. Conor McGregor, I honestly, look, this is how I feel about it. If you got that bad of a beef, to against a fight or whatever, why not look? Just take it to the ring. Like y'all, look, take it to the ring. I mean, you want to beat each other that badly? Draw up the contract, sign up, get paid for the joint, and duke it out. Really, because look, honestly, from what I understand, depending on the fight, it makes good theater. So y'all got this bad blood. Y'all gonna duke it out for like 2, 3, 4 times, because good fights have great sequels. Good rivalries have great sequels. So, but other than that, I'm gonna say this: it's stupid. I got nothing to say for this one because I'm not gonna sit here and entertain stupidity. Not doing it.
Andre, go ahead. Matt, stop being a diva.
Yeah, tell him again, Colin, because he don't listen. All right. With a 7, hold on. I'm on the wrong question. Just reading wrong. What's wrong with Conor McGregor? Nothing. He's a UFC fighter. Them guys is crazy. It's just that simple. Like, it's not really hard to figure out. I mean, he was crazy for thinking that he could beat Mayweather at his own game. He been doing for what, 40 years or something like that. I don't know, 30 years, something crazy. I guess he just thought. I think when you get to a certain level and you so famous, like he's like the number one guy in UFC right now, because of course, especially with that Mayweather fight, that definitely put him on top. He probably think he can do no wrong. He can act up and he can get away with stuff. So you always see this with star players. Like, we hear more about it because they are star players, but 9 times out of 10, this is not the first time he cut it up. It's just getting more media attention now because he is one of the biggest faces to UFC, if not the face of UFC right now.
Trey, go ahead.
When I heard about this, I was kind of surprised because, I mean, although Conor McGregor kind of, he definitely has that kind of like cocky, um, go get him attitude, and we saw that when he fought Mayweather. Um, but I don't think this is like I'm sure that this is stuff like this has happened before, you know. I'm not sure, maybe not to this extent where he's throwing a gate or whatever, um, and even physically assaulting someone before the fight. Um, but I it was interesting to me because he turned himself in, and when I initially saw it, I was just like, I was wondering how this is going to play out. Like, I mean, because he could come out a convicted felon, or he could come out, with, with some, you know, petty charge, something petty that doesn't even mean anything. Um, and I'm not sure how much this hurts him hurts his fan base, or how much this hurts his image per se, because he's a UFC fighter and UFC is such a violent sport. Um, I don't really watch UFC or pay attention to UFC, but I can imagine that this would hurt his image in some way. But I think because the UFC is such a violent sport, and that, I mean, if you keep up with Conor McGregor, I can imagine that maybe this is something that's happened before, or he's had incidents where maybe it wasn't physical, or he's throwing something, but that there were words before a fight, um, and but I'm not sure whether he was drunk or whatever the case may be. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I mean, whatever the case was, he was angry and he lashed out. Just the same way as you are not you, me, or Matt, or um, Drake, and or you, Kylan, can lash out, because we're angry about something. And obviously, it depends on personality, how you take, how you release your anger. But as a UFC fighter, I mean, to me, there's only one way you can lash out, and that's to be violent. I mean, I can't imagine Conor McGregor being like, this big bad guy, when it comes to fights, and he's the face of UFC, you know, and he's a monster, inside the ring, but then outside the ring, he's this little quiet, you know, harmless, harmless guy who uses poetry to get his anger out or something like that. I just can't picture that. So I mean, if you wanna be serious, the answer to the question what's wrong with Conor McGregor is maybe he's got a lot of pent up anger, and for whatever reason he lashed out, and it got caught on camera. And now he's gonna, or hopefully he pays the consequences, and I'm not sure how old Conor McGregor is, but hopefully, he'll learn from it and move on. The interesting thing about this whole situation is Dana White's response to it. And Dana White has been just outright with, what he thinks about the situation and how angry he is with Conor McGregor. And it's almost the way Dana White responded is almost as if Dana White is his father. It's really weird because Dana White is like, I'm really disappointed, but I'm pissed. He's angry at Conor for being angry and lashing out, and it's kind of weird. But I mean, to be honest with you, in my opinion, this is gonna blow over, and we're gonna forget about it in the next month.
Hey, so I think Trey hit the nail on the head. I think what's wrong, and so did Matt. I think what's wrong with Conor McGregor is, this is what happens when you're a habitual line stepper and you're not put in check. Dana White likes to be a freewheeling owner or CEO, whatever his title is of the UFC, and this is what happens when you let a habitual line stepper continue the line step and not face consequences. You get stuff like this where some of his people are beating up a member of Conor McGregor's entourage, and then because that fighter and Conor McGregor had beef, he's throwing dollies and gates at a bus full of fighters. He's injuring two other fighters who are unrelated to the conflict, and now he's in jail. This is what happens when you try and beat WWE without WWE results. Like, we know we know wrestling is scripted, and UFC, they make their money on being an alternative to both of those things, to being violent, to being line steppers. And like I said, this is what happens when you overstep, when you let a line stepper continue to overstep yourself in trouble, and it negatively affects the brand. The UFC brand is negatively affected now because Conor McGregor is men's combat fighting, is that sport, and that's the famous face that we associate with UFC. And now that man's in jail. We'll see if he faces the same scrutiny as as anybody else that would do this who's a face of a league. We'll see. Will people write articles about him? Will people say he's a detriment? Will people call him a thug? Probably not. Even though those are words that are apropos for him, which with the cunning and the planning that goes into stuff like that, for you to wait until after a media day and then take the shenanigans outside of the ring and outside of things and outside of where things should happen. We were always taught that if you got a problem with somebody, you settle it man to man. You don't settle it by throwing gates at buses full of people. You don't settle it, or you settle it in his sport in the ring or in the octagon. And he didn't do that. And now he's going to go to jail. Now he's negatively affecting the UFC brand. Now this little podcast, other bigger podcasts, news people are saying what's wrong with Conor McGregor. And I'll tell you what's wrong with Conor McGregor. He has no discipline. Dana White does not discipline him. It's not like Who was the other fighter? It's not like John Bones Jones where he disciplines Jones for, taking drugs, taking steroids, and rightfully so. But Conor McGregor is like Dana White's baby boy, and Dana White's baby boy has overstepped. Now he's in jail. Now the big fight is off. The Conor McGregor fight is off. The big money fight is going to negatively affect the pay-per-view, and it's all because nobody told Conor McGregor, yo, you need to chill out, save it for the ring, stop overstepping. Because he was doing the most, when he was fighting Floyd Mayweather in those media updates where he got real borderline between like regular trash talk and some borderline semi-racism. So let's be real. This man has been a line stepper all his life and has gone unpunished. But now it's going to be punished. Moving right along. All right, guys. What's our reaction to RG3 being back in the league? Go ahead, Trey. Trey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Go ahead.
We're going to the next question. All right. My bad. I was in the kitchen getting something to eat.
Oh, it's all right. We're on RG3. What's your reaction to him being back in the league?
Okay. Well, actually, it's funny that this is one of the questions because I think I just looked at it this morning. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, RG3, and I don't think RG3 is anything more than at this point, he's nothing more than a backup, which is unfortunate. But I mean, that's what happens, it's sports, especially like football, it's such a violent sport. You get injured and your career goes down the tubes. And if I remember correctly, he's signed with the Browns. The Browns are making a lot of moves, and I don't think this moves the needle in any one direction in terms of being good.
Trey, he signed with Courtney's Ravens.
Oh, with the Ravens. Okay, all right. But regardless, well, speaking of the Ravens need a quarterback, but he's not it. But if you think about quarterbacks, it seems like the Ravens tend to have a lot of backups that turn out to, like, I think at one point Joe Webb was a backup for Joe Flacco, went to the Vikings and played well and beat the Eagles actually. I think Tyrod Taylor was a backup on the Ravens at one point, left the Ravens, now he's the Bills starting quarterback, or was the Bills starting quarterback. So maybe we see a little bit of a rival of RG3's career in some shape or fashion. I don't know, but be honest, I don't think we see much of RG3 playing because the Ravens have made such a monetary commitment to Joe Flacco. And although it's the Ravens are in an awkward situation, similar situation to what the Giants are in. You've got a quarterback who's a veteran, has won, in Joe Flacco's case, won one Super Bowl, and with the Giants, has won Eli Manning with 2 Super Bowl rings, both of which who are middle tier quarterbacks, but have happened to played well in the playoffs, and now the Ravens signed.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Flacco beat the 49ers.
Right, correct. But it's also interesting in context of what we know about Colin Kaepernick not being signed, and also Johnny Manziel. So it's interesting that, RG3 has been out of the league for 2 years now, I think, and now he gets signed to the Ravens, but I don't think he's more than a backup. So to me, when I saw it, I was like, I was like, oh, it's RG3, but it was no more than just, oh, it's RG3, you know, because of his name. So yeah.
Is the NFL trolling me and the fans, or RG3? Robert Griffin III. No. Look. Look. I'm not gonna call it troll job. Let's call it for what it is. RG3's career is pretty much over. Washington screwed him over. Cleveland screwed him over. I believe. Like, when you have to think about it this way, when Washington drafted him, that whole entire situation just didn't look good from the get go. It just did not. So, and also, you know, you can blame injuries as well, but he is what he is, an injury prone quarterback. And right now, he's a good backup in the NFL right now at this point of his career. Can he be a franchise quarterback again? I believe so. But it is what it is. He is very injury prone. Since that knee injury, he has never been the same since. And he needs to be better at the position. Now, being in Cleveland didn't help. We saw that. Being in Washington didn't really help matters either. We saw that. This man needs to be in a system that is built to better himself as a NFL quarterback. Being in Baltimore is a nice place to start, but you have to think about it this way. His career has been busted to this point with injuries, bad coaching, and etc. So, I want to call it trolling. It's the fact that, hey, you know what? If you understand who RG3 really is, if you really understand what type of player he is at this point of his career, I mean, he is what he is, and number 2 right now behind Joe Flacco.
All right, y'all. So all right, so Matt answered both of those questions because he really wants to get into his feelings on Gabe Kapler already. My reaction to RG3 being back in the league. I was shocked. I was shocked just because nobody signed him last year, and I didn't think anybody would sign him this year. But I was shocked that the Ravens did that. Especially because it was the Ravens. I was shocked. We know that they need a good and quality backup quarterback. RG3 is serviceable. I'm happy that a black quarterback gets his chance. And everything. And he deserves a second chance, more in a backup role. Like Matt said, if he can learn under Joe Flacco, stay there. He has a chance to revitalize his career. Hopefully that year off helped him revitalize his career, gave him something to think about, and just made him, ready to come back and do well. Now on to Trey's point, and I kind of agree with Trey. If you look at this in reference to RG to Colin Kaepernick, and you compare both of their careers, I mean, obviously Colin Kaepernick is a little bit of a better quarterback, and he went a little farther than RG3 did. But RG3's career was a little limited by, as Matt pointed out, injuries, and he hasn't been the same since that knee injury. Do I think the NFL, to the next question and what we're talking about, do I think the NFL is trolling us now with the signing of RG3? I do a little bit because, we all wanted a quarterback to be signed to be a backup or have a chance to be a starter. And when we thought about that, we weren't thinking of Robert Griffin III, even though I'm happy for him. We were thinking of Colin Kaepernick. And, again, Colin Kaepernick is, effectively being blackballed out of the league. We talked about this on this podcast before. I won't rehash that. But I'm happy for Robert Griffin III. I'm just a little bit upset that his chance had to come at as Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed, and a couple others are being effectively blackballed out of the league because they don't share the same stance as the owners of these teams. And like we said earlier, these owners of these teams wield some unwielding power that I feel that Roger Goodell and them need to check, because the fact that, I know people don't want to be told what to do with their money and their investment, but the fact that you can do that is to me un-American, unpatriotic. Obviously, they're private companies and you can't tell people what to do with their money. But I feel like you should have some responsibility to check something. So yeah, y'all. So yeah, along with that. And I'm excited for RG3, but yeah, I do think the NFL is kind of trolling with that one. So that's just me. Moving on. Oh yeah, Trey, go ahead. Did you answer that? Do you think the NFL is trolling us with the signing of RG3? All right. Go ahead, Matt. Go around the diamond. Go ahead.
I'm not going around it. I'm gonna park it. It was one game. It was one game where I know ESPN went crazy over Giancarlo Stanton, who came back, played his first game, and went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. And everybody went flipping crazy over the fact that he wore the golden sombrero. And look, my thing is simply this. So he wore the golden sombrero, so he was struck out 5 times. It's like you still got a whole entire season ahead of you. John Carlos Stanton's going to still hit, I think, 45, 50 home runs by the end of the season, along with Aaron Judge, who was a beast out there with the Yankees. So for anyone to think that you're going 0 for 5, going 5 strikeouts, wearing the golden sombrero, you sit back and just chill. Number 1. 2, I am not a fan of how Gabe Kapler is using his bullpen with the Phillies. Not a fan of it. But Jake Arrieta, I would read, I think, Bleacher Report saying that he does not want the, quote, Aaron Nola treatment where he's pitching through 5 innings, pitching like 60 some odd pitches and then yanking them. Arrieta said clearly, I don't want the treatment. I want to go deep. After we've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season, we've seen I think about 4 or 5 pitchers already going past the 7th inning, going deep in the games. Now, which actually saves your bullpen, and the Phillies needs rest in that bullpen. And here we are. It's what, April 7th, 2 weeks in, and we're worried about a bullpen. So, on the job training for Gabe Kapler, unfortunately, but you have a horse in Jake Arrieta, former National League Cy Young Award winner. If you feel as though he is grooving past 5-6 innings, you let him groove until the wheels fall off. That's how I feel about it. I hope I will see that from not only from Arrieta, but Aaron Nola, Pivetta, and the likes. I wish not to see it again. That's just my take on that one. So, Colin, take it over to you because my blood pressure is about to boil again.
All right, so moving right along, we're going to go to, are the Rams a threat to the Eagles with the moves that they're making? I'll start. I don't feel they're a threat against. Well, okay, I'll say this. I feel that that the Rams are maybe the third team in the NFC right now, because obviously the first team is the Eagles, because to be the man you gotta beat the man, and the second team and the second team are the Vikings, because they still have the best defense. And the third, or the second best defense after ours, my bad, second best defense. And then there's the Rams, who are third. They're third until they beat the Eagles and the Vikings. That's what happens. But I do think the Rams, with their moves, getting Ndamukong Suh, to be there with Aaron Donald, and all the other players on that defense, getting Brandon Cooks, which, by the way, that was a huge surprise. I did not think the Rams would add Brandon Cooks to their wide receiving core. Good move on their part, and everything that they've been doing. I mean, it's been defensively. It's been a good. They've made some good moves defensively, and they've gotten the playmaker that they need on offense at wide receiver now to go with Todd Gurley. I feel like the Rams are a threat to the Eagles. I mean, I've my early prediction for the NFC Championship game was the Eagles versus the Rams, and so we'll see. We'll see if that winds up panning out. But yeah, the Rams are looking like a true threat to the Eagles and the Vikings being the top two teams in the NFL. But I mean in the NFC, I should say. But we'll see. So I'm gonna turn it over to Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
They don't scare me. They have a pretty good football team, but they don't scare me. Why should they scare me? Look, right now, everybody is trying to figure out how to beat the Eagles. How to beat the Eagles, just in case you meet them in the playoffs or late in the season. Look, the Eagles are doing what they got. They're retooling their defensive line, retooling their wide receiver core, Mike Wallace, and everything. And we didn't get to the draft yet. I mean, we didn't even touch the draft yet. So, as far as what the Rams are doing, I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. Look, looking at last season, their defense got them as deep as they did over the course of the season. It's their defense, and their defense is something to be taken seriously. So I'm not worried. I'm not afraid. I believe the Eagles are going to be fine. But as far as the Rams is concerned, I'm not worried about it. Challenge accepted. So retool. I know they're going to retool their defense. I think they're tops in the league in turnover for takeaways. So I'm not concerned at the slightest bit at this point. Not out of like resting my laurels, but knowing what the Eagles defense has versus their defense and our offense, knowing that Nick Foles there until Carson Wentz gets back, and then when Carson Wentz gets back, it's all like Donkey Kong. So this is going to be great theater for 2018 season. I'm not worried about it. I don't know why anybody else should be worried about it. No Eagle fan should be worried about this. So just chill, relax. The off season is far from over. It's only April. Just relax.
Trey?
I think that they are a threat in the same way that a team like the Vikings, or I mean any other team in the AFC that's worth mentioning. And the Rams have been making a lot of moves, signing Ndamukong Suh. They lost Sammy Watkins, but they got Brandon Cooks. And I believe they signed a corner earlier in free agency. So the Rams are setting themselves up for success. right? And I think, as usual, the Rams are going to be good. You've watched the Rams over the years. The Rams have never been a bad defensive team. If you look at the numbers, typically they're a very good defensive team, and because of their lack of offensive, it caused the defense. It put the defense in bad positions. So short fields, long drive. The defense has to play one drive. Offense goes out there, gets a 4 and out, and the defense is right back out there. So it made them look bad. We know the Rams have a good defense, right? Offensively, the Rams have a pretty darn good offensive line. They've got one of the best running backs in the game, and they've got a young budding quarterback, and that's the key right there, is the quarterback. If Jared Goff is what we think is what he showed last year, then I think the Rams are a legitimate threat, right? Because if their offense is not rolling, their defense is gonna hurt, and that's true for any team. If the Rams, think about when we played the Rams, right? We dominated for a period of time. The defense let up, and they took the lead for a period of time. Nick Foles comes in, and I think we took the lead and win the game, right? And in my opinion, the defense actually ended up making up for lost time and actually won us that game. But I think if Jared Goff improves the same way that Carson Wentz improved from year 1 to year 2, if Jared Goff, because although Jared Goff and Carson Wentz came into the league at the same time, year 1 for Jared Goff was like a throwaway season because he had nothing to work with. So if Jared Goff is able to, from year 2 to year 3, improve in any way, shape, or form, whether it's his accuracy, his deep ball, his short, his accuracy, his ability to lead receivers up the field, and if he can improve even a tad bit, I think that the Rams are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I do have confidence in the Eagles because I think Carson Wentz is, if you don't think he's top 5 in the league right now and maybe even number 1 in the league right now, then you're crazy. And although he's probably not going to be back for week 1, whenever we play the Rams, whether it's in the regular season, I don't think we play them in the regular season, or actually, whether we play them in the regular season or in the playoffs, I'm fully confident that with the coaching staff that we have and the players that we have as a team, we are better than the Rams. Although they are a threat and they have the ability to beat us, the question is, one, is Jared Goff going to improve from year 1, year 2 to year 3? And is what the Rams had last year, is that going to be something that's going to continue on to next year, or is it going to be kind of like a flash in the pan thing and everything just kind of goes back downhill?
All right, moving on to our next Eagles-related question. Our reaction to the Eagles signing Richard Rodgers from Green Bay. I'll start. I was kind of excited just because, we needed to make a splash in the tight end market. And obviously, we weren't going to make I thought when we signed the tight end, his last name would be Bennett. But obviously, Martellus decided to retire. But Richard Rodgers is a serviceable tight end. He had a good year a couple of years ago where he scored 8 touchdowns. I don't know what his blocking ability is, but if he can be anything like he was a couple of years ago for the Packers, then he's going to be a valuable addition. As the second tight end, you're expected to be basically a Trey Burton, and he's young. He's only, I believe, 27, 28 years old. So he's still in his prime as a tight end. So as our second tight end, he's expected to block. He's expected to get open. He's expected to be a reliable target for Carson Wentz and give Zach Ertz some help and make sure that Zach Ertz is a double team, because we know that Carson Wentz and Nick Foles' favorite target was Zach Ertz, and then outside of Zach Ertz, it was also Alshon Jeffrey. So what you need to be able to do as a second tight end and for the Eagles, it's a West Coast offense, but you're expected to be able to block. I don't know what Richard Rodgers' blocking ability is, but we will help him improve on that front. And as long as he can block, as long as he can catch reliably, I think he'll be a great addition, and I think he'll have a really good season for us, backing up or as the second tight end. Now, obviously, they picked him up, and the draft is still yet to happen. And I know they've been connected with Mike Galecki, I believe his name is. He's from Penn State. He's a Penn State tight end, and they've been connected with a couple of tight ends. So I still think that it's a high likelihood that they will draft another tight end. But I think that this is a great pickup for the Eagles. It's a surprise pickup, and it weakens the Packers, another rival. So I think it's great all around. We get stronger, the Packers get weaker, and Carson Wentz and Nick Foles have another reliable target. So I think it's a very good pickup. Go ahead, Matt.
It's a decent pickup. Seeing as though cut ties with Selleck and Burton, it is a decent pickup. I was looking at his stats as he was talking about him, and for the last two seasons, 30, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns in 2016, 2017, 12 catches for 160. It is what it is. It's a fact. Like, he is someone that could help as far as the number two position. I think similar to you that they might pick up a tight end in the draft. So it's a decent pickup. It is something that will fill the roster as far as depth is concerned. So I'm okay with the pick. With the signing. Excuse me. Ugh. I'm okay with the signing, but he's just a number two tight end behind Ertz.
Trey, go ahead.
I think it's actually a really good signing, and here's why. Richard Rodgers has experience with playing with one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation and probably of all time. And although he wasn't, a major threat, he was formidable, right? He did his job. He ran his routes. He caught the ball when it was thrown his way. And as we know, he has some, or at least one. He caught a Hail Mary from Aaron Rodgers to win the game, and so that's why we know his name. But on the Packers, as far as using their tight ends, they're not known really for using their tight ends. They use tight ends. Every team uses tight ends, but they're not known for, giving, a tight end 5, 6, 7 catches a game for the most part. But I think the way we use tight ends, the Eagles, I think Rich Rodgers is going to flourish big time. He's a big body guy. And I think we're going to see a lot of third down conversions with Richard Rodgers being the one catching the ball. Maybe not a lot of touchdowns, but definitely a lot of. He's going to be the guy that's going to make up the same way that Zach Ertz, was big on third down, and the same way that Trey Burton was great as a second option or second tight end option. He's going to fit right into his role. He's going to do his job because it's clear that as an organization, we know how to coach up tight ends. I mean, so I'm looking forward to what Richard Rodgers is going to do with us, and I'm confident that he's not going to have, I don't think he's going to have some crazy year where he puts up like Pro Bowl stats, but I think he's going to be formidable enough, and do his job well enough that he will succeed, and and like you said, Colin, he's not old. He's 27 maybe, 28 maybe at the oldest. And I see him. He's similar to if you watched him play. He's similar to Brent Selleck. He's a little bit bulkier, I think, than Brent Selleck, but he complements Zach Ertz because Zach Ertz is more of a finesse tight end. He's not gonna he's going up against a corner. Obviously, he's much bigger because he's like 6'5", 230. But he's not a guy that's gonna break a lot of tackles. That type of thing. Brent Selleck was the one. He was the guy that was going to catch the ball, run 5-10 yards after the catch, break a tackle or two, that type of thing. And I think Richard Rodgers can be that guy for us. He's a little bit bigger. And so I think you'll see a lot of, catch the ball in, behind the sticks and get the first down, that type of thing with Richard Rodgers. And they're going to use him in a lot of different ways on the field.
All right. Good job, guys. So, guys. All right. So we're gonna do a combination of things here. So based off of the Sixers win last night, and their 13-game win streak currently, are the 76ers, in your opinion, the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference? I'll start. Yes, they are. When last week when we talked about this, or the week before that, I talked about, and Matt called me out for my lack of faith and letting my pessimism get the best of me by not believing in the Sixers. And the Sixers have showed me that they have had their moment in the sun, just like with the Eagles. Their star player went down, and it seems like the team has really come together. Ben Simmons is playing otherworldly, especially last night. I just feel like what I'm witnessing is what happened to the Eagles. Now, do I believe that the Sixers can make it to the finals? If the standings hold right now, and there winds up being a Raptors Cavaliers second round matchup, and they both one eliminates the other, then I believe the Sixers can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and be a threat to go to the finals. I believe, and this is something that I don't say often, two people. Matt, you were right. I'm changing the slogan. The Matt was right. And secondly, I believe that somebody else who I usually say is crazy and doesn't know what they're talking about might be right too. Charles Barkley, even though I thought he was insane earlier in the week for saying that the Sixers had a chance to make it to the finals. This was before we all found out Kyrie Irving won't be playing in the playoffs. I feel like the road has gotten a lot easier for the 76ers. I'm about to say Eagles. And I feel like everything is in place for the 76ers, just like everything lined up for the Eagles to make it to the championship game. I believe that everything is lined up. You may have a weakened Warriors with Steph Curry being injured. And I believe that the Sixers can do it. They can make it to the finals. And I do believe, to answer the question, they are the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference, with the caveat of as long as they get rid of their turnover-itis. I don't understand why they turn the ball over so much, but they do. And it's not just Ben Simmons, it's the whole team. But if last night's 76ers show up in the playoffs, they can definitely be a threat in the finals and might. I'm taking it to 80%. May have an 80% chance of not winning the finals, of going to the finals and possibly making some noise. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh boy. Remember when I told you early in the season that this team will make the playoffs and they're going to make the playoffs? and
Listen, man. I just said you was right, man. Take this.
I know. I'm just set the stage here.
He's just relishing in the moment,
I'm just setting the stage here. Look, like you, Colin, there has been a lot of people that thought this team was not ready. This team's not another year away from the playoffs. This team's look. And I said it, the future is here. The future is now. And based on what you've seen last night, the future is today. How everything is set up right now. The Sixers are on a roll. No Embiid, no problem. In fact, he'll be back for Game 1 or Game 2. Kyrie Irving out for the rest of the year with knee problems. And the Boston Celtics, they're busted. Cleveland, it's Cleveland. You see how this team is playing. You see how this team is just. They're fun to watch. Now. I for some reason or another, I cannot find my way to get to see a Sixers game, but I was looking at the stat sheet, and the one thing that is more important that kills any team, particularly this team, is turnovers. Turnovers kills ball clubs. With that being said, here you go. This basketball team is more dangerous than Toronto. Is at this point, this Sixers team is an oncoming freight train, and you can't stop it. You only hope to contain it or slow it down. Now, when Embiid gets back, that's a bigger problem. Fultz is finding he seems to find his game now. Everyone has found their place. Bellinelli, he's just going crazy. Redick is going crazy. Everyone has their place. Everyone has their roles, and as far as I'm concerned, the way things could play out, this team could possibly get to the finals. I'm not going to go on a limb and say they could win it all, which we all want to. We all want to see a third parade downtown. We all want to, but it's a possibility that this team could go as deep into the finals and give any Western Conference team a fit. So, you know what? You heard it here. This team is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bottom line, this team is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. End of story.
Pray.
Yeah, man, I agree with you, man. I think this team is, and I'll be the first one to admit, I mean, I didn't think they were more than a 7 or 8 seed and maybe a 6 seed. They were kind of pushed maybe into that 6 seed and maybe get out of the first round. But I didn't think any more than maybe getting out of the first round and getting swept or going out in 5 games in the second round. But after that game last night, and I think when you look at that game, I don't think the fact that they were up by 32 at halftime was the most impressive thing about that win. The most impressive thing to me about that win is the Cavs came back, right? And they weathered the storm and still won the game. To me, the sign of a good team in situations like that is the ability to not only, okay, you say, well, they gave up a lead. It's like, yeah, they gave a lead, but they're playing against LeBron James. LeBron knows how to come back, he knows how to play from behind, right? But I think the sign of a really good team and the sign of a team that can win in the playoffs is a team that can go up big, lose the potential, be able to lose a lead, but hang on and win a game. And the Sixers did that last night against the Kings. And they put themselves in a better position for the playoffs to go up against a lower seed. And I think if the playoffs started today, they would go up against the Heat, which I think is going to would be a very, very good series. But I do think that the Sixers are in a really good position right now. And they're riding high. They're confident. They have very, very good confidence, and they're doing it without Joel Embiid right now. And I think if they can get through the first round of the playoffs without Embiid, and he comes back in the second round healthy with fresh legs, I mean, I thought they were going to be one of the, a 6, 7, or 8 seed where, they're the team that you don't want to play, and they still are a team you don't want to play. But it's almost like they flipped the script, because it's like, I don't want to play the Sixers right now, but now they're the 3rd seed. Now they're in the Eastern Conference, and you're like, okay, like for me, when I was thinking, you don't want to play them right, they were the type of team where, they're a lower seed, but they got good players, and so you got to be careful, you got to watch yourself, But now I'm like, everybody's sitting there looking at the Sixers like, oh shoot, we got to watch, the Sixers are back, that type of thing. So I do think that the Sixers can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and really put up a fight. I'm not sure if they would win the conference finals, but I definitely think they can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and put up a big fight. Now, winning it all, I don't know about that, because they'd probably go up against either Golden State or Houston, and I'm not sure they're ready to beat Houston or Golden State, but I definitely think they can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and put up a fight against whoever they play. And I'm not sure if it's possible, but it would be interesting to see a Sixers-Cavs Eastern Conference Finals.
All right, y'all. So our next to last, our last NBA question: is LeBron James a want or a need for the Sixers? This is funny because Andre left early, but we actually got into an argument about this about five, 6, or 7 shows ago about whether he's a want or a need. I'll start. For the 76ers, listen, they're doing fine without LeBron James. So he is, to me at least, he's not a need, he's a want, right? And let me give you the history of why I say want versus need, right? All right, this is something that me and my father have going on, where when we do different things, he tells me, all right, do you want it or do you need it? When I'm talking about different things, right? And and using that, so a want is something that I don't need right away, and a need is something that I need right away. And for the Sixers, they don't need, and I know this is an unpopular opinion in Philadelphia. At Kyler W. Watson, I'll give you my full thoughts. There's an article coming about it very soon as well. WatsonSportsTakes.com about this. He is a want for the 76ers, like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. Just you can tell by the way they interact with him and everything. The players, they want him here. They don't need him here, right? The 76ers, we talked about this earlier also in previous podcasts. What they need is a Kawhi Leonard, is a Klay Thompson, a Paul George, somebody who can create their own shot. And I know Matt will say now that Markelle Fultz is back, but I need to see Markelle Fultz fully healthy for another season. Until then, I'm going to keep saying they need a Kawhi Leonard, a Paul George, or a Klay Thompson type player, somebody with specifically a Kawhi Leonard or a Klay Thompson, somebody who can be a defensive stopper, who can be a calming presence, a veteran leadership, and somebody who can hit an outside jump shot, somebody who can hit an outside shot consistently. And I know that's JJ Redick right now, but there's no guarantee that we'll have JJ Redick next year. And we need a Kawhi Leonard, so they need to either trade for Kawhi Leonard and Klay Thompson. That's the type of player the Sixers need. A LeBron James type player is a want, because everything LeBron James does for you, Ben Simmons does for you. And I feel like if you get LeBron, you're gonna limit what Ben Simmons can do. That's how I feel. At Kyler W. Watson, if you think I'm stupid, if you think I'm crazy, at Kyler W. Watson, because Ben Simmons is showing that he's a young LeBron, and he can be, once he gets a jump shot, a fully developed player. And I feel like if you bring in LeBron James, you're gonna limit him. But if you bring in a Kawhi Leonard or a Klay Thompson, somebody who can balance their game off of what Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid do well, that's the type of player the Sixers need. They don't need LeBron, because right now they're a playoff team without LeBron. Few teams can say, besides the Miami Heat, that we had success without LeBron James. And I feel like the Sixers right now, as Matt said, they're young, they're up and coming, they're the team. They're the team to beat right now. And a Kawhi Leonard or a Klay Thompson can take them to the next level and actually make them a championship contending team. Go ahead, Matt.
This Sixer team does not, I'm going to say it emphatically, does not need a LeBron James. We already have one of those.
See, this is why we're the controversial twosome, Matt. Throw them Twitter digits in there so we can throw them 20 digits in there. Go ahead.
Look, I'm gonna put it in there. This Sixer team does not need a LeBron James. Do you know why we don't need a LeBron James? Oh my gosh, look, we have one already. And Ben Simmons. Yes, Ben Simmons. He's probably 6'9", 6'10". Look, if Dr. J says he is a once-in-a-generation, if not a once-in-a-lifetime ball player, then why the hell do we need a LeBron James for? We already have one of them. It's Ben Simmons. We don't need one of them. It's great to have. It's great to want one, but we don't need one. And on top of that, the money situation for the Sixers is in the perfect condition. So why the hell do we want... No, why the hell do we need a LeBron James? It's good to have one, to want one, but if we look at need, we do not need one. Kawhi Leonard, I can accept that, but we do not need, keyword, need a LeBron James, because we have one in a machine called, I don't know, Ben Simmons. Now, you can see, they can sit here and disagree with me if you like. If you want to disagree, you want to cuss me out, tell me I'm crazy or I'm nuts or whatever, you can hit me up on Twitter at Small Red Horn. That's right, SSMALLREDHORN. And you can sound off and tell me how crazy, or I don't know jack squat about basketball or the NBA, or you know what, you need to stick to baseball. Because I'm telling you right now, you know that I know that we all know that this team does not need, N-E-E-D, need, not want, need LeBron James. We don't need him. Nice to have, but we don't need him. We don't need him. Now, it's good this team does need veteran leadership. You can make, say, oh, well, we use LeBron for that. You use LeBron for veteran leadership. That is a very good argument. But here's the thing. Where does this man fit in the grand scheme of things, okay? You haven't forgot the fact that, but let's remember this. This has been Simmons' first full year, right? We only seen Markelle Fultz in the smallest amount of games. We already know what Joel Embiid can do. We see where Company has a big contract. I think really here for another year or two. I think. I could be wrong. And everything else. So let's try it again. We don't need a LeBron James because of the chemistry that's already there. You want to add to the chemistry, not change that chemistry. Add to it. So we do need another slasher or another 3-point shooter. Pretty much a two guard, 2-3 swing man. But I'll say it again. We do not need LeBron James. Point blank simple. If you got a problem with that, you can't swallow that, you can't digest that. That's fine with me. Just come see me at Small Red Horn on Twitter and sound off on it. Sound off if you like. I'm gonna tell you right now, I will stand my point because we don't need him. I'm going to drop this mic and someone else can have the stage.
Now we're passing the mic to Trey. Go ahead, Trey.
I think we're all in agreement here. I mean, I agree. LeBron, I felt like this from the beginning when the idea of LeBron James coming to the Sixers was even a question. That I feel like having LeBron James is something. It's like I don't know. It's like fried chicken. I want some fried chicken, but I probably don't need the fried chicken because, all that oil and grease, I don't need that, But, so, like, for the Sixers, they have a good young core, and, Markelle Fultz is actually, in the limited minutes that he's playing, he's actually playing pretty well. And then you have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Robert Covington, whether we trade him or not. JJ Redick, whether we keep him or he goes back into free agency next season. We have a good young core, and we still have draft picks to add to this, and we have a lot of money in free agency. And I agree, we need a player that's more like Kawhi Leonard that would fit into the mix. And I'm not saying that LeBron James wouldn't fit, but I think that it undermines the core that they have now and what Ben Simmons is as a player. And like you were saying, Colin, it's clear that they want him, right? You can tell by their interactions after the game that they want him to be, they want to play with him because he's LeBron James and they grew up watching him. And he's probably their role model. So there's that, but they don't need him because of the core that they have right now, and they're already winning without him, So I mean, I can't. If I keep talking, I'm just going to keep repeating what you guys said. So again, I agree with you guys that LeBron James, for the 76ers at least, is purely a want and not a need.
All right, so moving right along to our last question. The other reason why we're now officially Titletown USA, Villanova, the Villanova Wildcats. They did it again for the second time in 2 years. They won a championship. All right, guys, the question is Villanova the best basketball program in college basketball today? Go ahead, Trey. Trey, you there? I don't know what happened to him. All right, go ahead, man.
Is Villanova the best player? I said this earlier in this podcast today. What Jay Wright did is built this team to where as though you're not. It's not for one and doneers. It's not. You're not there to hit it and quit. It is a program, a bona fide program where you build chemistry. You building your chemistry. You building your team through recruiting and everything else. You're not there. Okay, I'm gonna take you for a year and then you're out the door. That's not how it works. I mean, take a look at Loyola Chicago. You never heard about that school until this tournament. Why? And all these other small schools. You know why? Because they built their program. And Villanova is the model. That is the model of how you build a program. You're not there for, okay, well, you have a year and then you're out. this is what you do. This is how you build a program. And Jay Wright has sold his players on just that, on how to build and sustain a program. So if you want to answer your question, is Villanova the best basketball program in college basketball today? Absolutely, because it shows you the model of consistency. That's what it boils down to. Consistency. John Wooten is another example. Model of consistency, winning multiple back-to-back UCLA championships in I think the 60s or the 70s. You see this. So right now, so for anyone who wants to build a program, the model what Villanova is doing is the best model. That has been the best model for a long time. Too many people are trying to reinvent the wheel, and you cannot do that. I'm sorry. This is how it works. This is how it goes. You want long-term success, particularly for your program, and as a coach, you must build a program. You can't build a team year after year after year. You can't do that. Oh, it's a talent. But my question is, as a recruit, if I'm trying to build my program, I need someone that'll be there for the said program for longer than at least 2 years. Not just be there for one and go to the NBA. No. Are you going to be there for at least 2 years? And I think he also emphasizes getting the education too. So, yeah, we can talk about, all the things going on in the NCAA, all the things that's been going on, and all the hoopla and nonsense and the crap that goes on with the NCAA and their crappiness. The fact is, they got these boys sold on the program. That's what it boils down to. The program. Nothing else. The program.
Let's try Trey again. Trey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. See, this is what I was telling somebody about this the other day. Villanova, the reason why they're so good and they've been top 5 or number 1 in terms of NCAA ranking is that they have continuity, right? They've got good recruits, solid recruits, and they've been able to have a lot of continuity from year to year with their players, which is something that not a lot of basketball programs can say, because you have a lot of one and dones, right? But because Villanova is such, not only are they, in terms of basketball, a premier college program, they're also they're known for their academics. And so what you have is a lot of guys who are not only there to play basketball, but they're also there to get a degree. And as a result, they stay there for the full 4 years, and you end up with a lot of seniors, but you also end up during those 4 years with a tremendous amount of continuity because these guys have played with each other for years now, And, even with Duke is known for having a lot of continuity. Even Duke is kind of experiencing a lot of the one and done type thing. And I think what Villanova is going to be able to do with is, now that they've become this premier basketball program, they're going to start to get those top, they're going to, instead of picking from the, 15 and down, they're going to start picking from 15 and up in terms of the high school player rankings. And obviously you're going to have some one and dones, but I think a lot of the kids most of the kids who go to that school are going there and they want to get their degree. So I think Villanova has an advantage over a lot of other schools because academically they're so good that people are like, let me get my, I got a scholarship to play basketball, but let me get my degree too, because the degree from Villanova means a lot. And it helps me long-term after my career is over. And And Villanova has that advantage that gives them not only gives them an advantage in terms of their athletics, in particular basketball, but it gives them an advantage over other schools, and in my opinion, does give them the edge to be the best college basketball program. Because other schools, like Duke, academically okay, um, but like for example, let's compare it to University of Penn, right? University of Penn has the academics, and so people will go there. They may play sports, they may not, but they don't have they don't necessarily have the greatest sports program. You talk about a school like, I don't know, I can't even think of an example right now, but Villanova has the advantage, and they have the unique opportunity to not only be great academically, but also great in their athletic department, because people look at Villanova and say, oh, now, and what you used to look at Villanova and say is, oh, they're a Catholic university, got good academics, sports program is not, is not all that. Now you look at Villanova and you say, okay, really good academics, really good basketball program, and that brings a lot of money into the university, and so it's just like this big circle of success for not only Villanova's basketball program, but for the university as a whole.
Listen, Villanova is one of, and I'm just, I agree with Matt and Trey. Like, Villanova is one of the best basketball programs in today, because of not only the consistency, but also the fact that they do a very, very good job recruiting the Philadelphia basketball market. It helps when you're the number one team in Philadelphia basketball. Now, some smart fans will say, Villanova isn't even in Philadelphia. Yes, we know it's a suburb, but Villanova is a suburb of what? That's right, Philadelphia. Where do they play most of their games? The Wells Fargo Center, which is in Matt and Trey, help me out. Where's the Wells Fargo Center at? Oh yeah, South Philadelphia. Oh, when did their parade happen at? Not Villanova, Pennsylvania, but Philadelphia. And they're part of, as Matt said, the Big Five. They recruit the Philadelphia market very well. Jay Wright has brought in a very good and effective program. But here's the other thing they do, right? They are like the San Antonio Spurs of college basketball. They stay consistent. Jay Wright's been there for 20 plus years, and he has adapted his program to today's player. You have Jalen Brunson. You have Mikal Bridges. Either one will probably be a good pickup for the 76ers. Hint, hint. And, you have a great tandem in Philadelphia. And they recruit. Jay Wright does a great job recruiting the market well. He does a good job of building the program. Like Trey said, Villanova has great academics. But I think it helps that they're the number one basketball program, not just in the country, but in Philadelphia. I mean, it helps when you're Jay Wright and you can say, hey, I won a championship 2 years ago. But not only did I win a championship 2 years ago, I just won a championship in March. And I did that by recruiting the Philadelphia market well, by getting players like Jalen Brunson to stay for 3 to 4 years and develop as players. I develop players. I am consistent. I develop players. And Villanova is one of the best basketball programs right now because they do it right. You never hear about NCAA violations because they recruited some top tier player that's only going to be there for 1 year. Villanova is a great basketball program because they do well, they recruit consistently, and they get players to buy into the program. And that is great. That is great. That's why Villanova is a top basketball program today. You know that? That's why. And the NCAA couldn't ask for a better champion right now. It's a champion without controversy. It's one that you don't have to worry about. And Villanova just keeps proving that they're consistently the best basketball team in college basketball and the best college basketball team in Philadelphia. All right, y'all. That wraps up our show for today. I want to thank Trey. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Andre for coming through, taking time out of their Saturday. It's an hour late. We're back to our regular time. I had an event, an online event to go to, but we're back at our regular time next week, 1:00 on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Check us out on Twitter at Kyler W. Watson, on Twitter at Small Red Horn. I always mess up Trey's name, but it's his full name backwards. At the Crossover PO1, WatsonSportsTakes.com, and so much more. We have so many big things going on this year. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you all for watching. Whether you watch now, you watch later. Have a great weekend. Like I said, thank you to Trey, Matt, and Andre for coming through. Y'all have a great weekend. Deuces.